Hola.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Very special episode today. This is our, what do we want to call this? Anniversary? Birthday?
Yeah, it's like
Anna
Chinwag,
birthday?
anniversary, birthday, and Christmas all at the same time.
This is it. We
It's
got
a
the
huge.
Christmas, as you guys may call it, jumpers. We got the mini jumper here, representing here. The
I
ugly
see. You're
Christmas
looking
sweater.
very fresh, Mike. I'm being an
Very.
absolute Scrooge on this behalf, though.
You son of a bee. You son of a bee. Well, it's a very special episode because 1 year ago today, December, what is today? 23rd? December
23rd, yeah,
23rd.
December 23rd.
December 23rd, I decided to start this little old podcast.
Can't believe it's been a year already, man.
I've said this before, but I had the idea of mini life. Like when I got my first classic mini, I was like, man, I want to like make something. I want to like build something, like I didn't know what. And I started with shirts because that's obviously the easiest shit. And like 2 people bought them. But, I had the design and I had the idea of our logo and kind of what I wanted to do. I just didn't know. And I kind of put it on the back burner, but I always like looked at that logo and I was like, man, I want to do something with that.
Always had that itch, yeah.
Always had it. And I think it was that, I can't, obviously I can't take credit for the name. I'm sure somebody's thought of Mini Life before. And I can't take credit for podcasts because I'm not the first. Maybe some of you have found me before any of the other ones, but Cole, Cole from Classic Mini DIY, he does a little podcast. I'm not sure how much he does recently. I'm not sure if he does the YouTube full time, which is a lot of work. But there was another one called Classic Mini Breakdown, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome, and he ended up selling his Mini and moving on, and I had a thought about it. I thought about it for a while, and I was like, maybe that's what I should do. Mike on the mic.
That's it, exactly. I'm so glad you did, though.
Mike on the mic, and
as all the other listeners are probably, hopefully, very happy that you did as well.
Went Mike on the mic, and what I wanted to change, and I guess maybe this is the segue into this episode, is we wanted to dive into very, very difficult to do, but maybe some of the memorable moments throughout the year, and kind of highlight those and maybe throw some clips in of those podcasts for you guys to kind of remember by, or if you hadn't listened to those episodes, maybe go listen to them. Very difficult to pick, and obviously we put out man, what is this episode going to be? I don't know, close to 50.
Yeah, it's got to be
I
around
missed
50.
a few. I've done an episode a week. I've missed a few, so it's close to 50. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of do that and go, what are some of our favorite moments, favorite episodes, whatever it is, and I guess we can start with that, right? Episode 1.
Yeah.
I'm not to be like egotistical here and put my episode as one of the favorite moments, but it's what I named it, right? It was the maiden voyage. It was my idea, and what I was, backtracking. What I was saying is what I wanted to change, and not that I disliked the other episodes, but how I didn't want to just carbon copy it, right? I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I had to think about it, and it's like, and I think I mentioned this in the episode, but you go to Cars and Coffees, or you go to car meets and shows, and you get to talking to the driver, right? You're like, whose car is this? Who's like, this car is all, whose Mini is this? And you get to talking to the driver, and you hear the stories, or I had one when I was a kid, or this is my dad had one, or whatever it was. And I always found that those stories were such a great part, and it's a great part of the car life.
Yeah, like they need to be told to carry
Exactly.
on that legacy for everyone in future generations, not just previously, but also future
Yeah,
generation. Everyone's got to have that story and know about it.
absolutely. I mean, we all can scroll Instagram and drool over these cars or go to these meets and love them. But how did they get there? What made you do that? What got you into it? And that's really what this podcast was about. Obviously, I want to talk to, you and I and the average guy building our cars, but I want to talk to the racers and I want to talk to some of these living legends still and cover everything, right?
That's it.
We like racing, we like rallying, we like race cars, but we like street cars too. So that's kind of where it came from, and I think some of the best episodes have been just the not the racers. Obviously, those are super cool too, but just some of these stories. I had no idea what I got myself into, and I'm super happy. So, here's a clip of episode 1, the main maiden voyage. So enjoy. Why I am here and why are you guys listening? This is the mini life. I've wanted to do this for a little while now. I love podcasts. I love listening to podcasts. I started a podcast a long time ago with a friend in grad school around 2012, and it was just a blast. The Mini Life podcast came about when you guys know you go to a gas station, someone asks you about the car, what year is it, what's the gas mileage, is that a Fiat? Oh, it's a Fiat Mini? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, and the Mini Life, I want to know the stories behind your minis. I want to know the stories behind the person driving the Mini, why they picked the car, why they picked a Mini, the classic Mini out of all the cars you could pick. So I want to do some interviews. I want to do the traditional, what's your favorite mods, what kind of projects you got going on, but I personally love the history behind the cars, the people behind the cars. All right, our next clip, our next moment in time is our number 1 viewed / listened episode. I think it was like a 3-way tie. It was like between the first 4 episodes, or it was 4-way tie, whatever it is. First 4 episodes, it was like me, um, Hero from
Was Hero number
episode
2?
4. He was number 4 with his mini named Morris. Ricky No from No Limits with his mini pickup. And then Cole from Classic Mini DIY on episode 3. And I not only picked this as one of my favorite moments and favorite episodes because it's the number 1 episode that people have listened to so far, but it when I said I was doing a podcast, I don't even remember where it was. Maybe I posted it in a group or something. Hey, check out these first 2 episodes. Cole, who I've never met in my life, we've talked over the years numerous times. He was so gung ho. He was like, "Let's go! I want to be on the podcast. Let's book it." Like we did it like that weekend, and to me, that kind of set the tone for what this podcast could be, and the community it could build. And that the reasoning behind that has nothing to do with the podcast, I guess, because I think we talked about his build and his YouTube channel and Bad Wolf build and all that kind of stuff. But that was one of the reasons why I picked this, and it really made me feel good. Not that I need that, but it was just it kind
Like
of
an
like,
eye opener.
yeah. When I looked back, I was like, that moment, that was a kind of a pinnacle moment for the podcast of, but Cole's a quote unquote mini celeb in the scene. He has a big YouTube channel. And I think that was a cool moment for me in the podcast.
Definitely. And this was pre Paddy Probe as well, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I like, don't hate me because I didn't go back and listen to every single episode because they're all roughly an hour long. But might have been pre Paddy Probe. I don't remember. I don't
I'm sure it
remember.
was.
So check out this clip from episode 3. Enjoy those minis and motor on.
Yeah, funny enough, like my dad, he was passively into cars. He grew up he was young in the 60s and 70s, and so, he grew up with like Camaros and Mustangs. He had a 68 Camaro, which is probably what he considers his favorite car that he's had. But overall, my family's not really been into cars. I kind of picked them up. Weirdly, it's like not even a driver's car or anything, but I had a Honda Element as my first car. And
Nice.
like I got super into like changing things, adding sound systems, putting bigger tires on it. You're doing all the kind of like stuff that you learn about as you first get into stuff. And then fast forward a few years, had a Mini Cooper S, 2007, and turbocharged. Got a taste of that, and then I'm like, oh, this is based off of an old car, a classic car. And then I'm like, that's what I want. And so then it just kind of set, as we talked about earlier, got dead set on getting one, and then found one in Canada.
All right. Our next pinnacle moment, our next episode that I chose. And I don't want any of my guests that have been on to feel bad if I didn't pick them, because I would have just picked all of them. But I had to really strategically think about it. Like I just mentioned on Cole's episode, it wasn't, no offense, Cole, it wasn't anything about the episode. I mean, it was. I thoroughly enjoyed that episode and the second one that we did with him. But they were kind of like meaningful moments to me throughout this podcast. And I know that the listeners have sent in as well, maybe some moments or episodes that they really enjoyed just based off of the episode. But as me, the host, and I had these pinnacle moments. And this next one was episode 5, because for you guys, this maybe wasn't something big. No offense, again, I'm not. But the reason it was really big for me, not only is Ian an amazing guy, and we've also had him on twice, and we had a great conversation. But this was the first international podcast I did. I never thought it could go that big. I mean, I guess, the odds were it was going to, because a lot of UK, Europe, and all that have minis. But this was the first interview that I did in not the United States.
It's a huge moment.
Yeah, and to me, I was like, dang, I just scheduled a podcast in, what is he, in Ireland or Northern Ireland? I don't know. Northern Ireland.
Northern, I think it was,
I
yeah.
don't want, no offense again.
Sorry,
geez,
man.
A lot of offensive things already in this podcast.
Yeah, that's it. Please don't cancel us.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Ian is a great dude. We've had him on twice. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on. And, check out this clip from episode 5 with Ian. It was originally named Auto Testing with Ian, Team Ballylock Classics. But now he's a Cooper S Traveler. But check out this clip.
Wasn't looking for a Traveler. I was just looking for a Mini at the time. I suppose I was, 16, 17. I was looking for a Mini for my first car. I'd had Minis beforehand, but I just wanted something that I could use every day. So on the lookout for something pretty special. I never even thought of an early Mini, never even thought of a variant, and it just almost fell in my lap. A friend of the family needed to store a car at a relative's house, relative's sheds, and he just says, "Look, I need to make a bit of space. A few cars need to sell," and he says, "Well, what are you looking to get rid of?" He says, "There's no Mini here." So yes, I know a guy who could be interested maybe. He phoned me up, said, "Here, Ian, Leslie's looking to sell a Mini. Would you be interested?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll go down and take a look at it." He opened the doors of the barn and pulled a few covers off. Saw the green paintwork. I thought, it's an early enough car. He pulled a bit further back, and you can see the external door hinges, the sliding windows. So, brilliant! It's a really early car. But whenever he pulled the covers off completely, you see the woodwork at the back, and I was just, hey, yeah, I have to get it. Never expected it. Had never seen one in reality. Seen plenty of pictures and books and so on. Had never even seen one at a show, even in England at the time. So it was a must-have car. So yeah, it was stored. This was in 1998, I think it was. The car had been stored since 1974 in this dry barn. So it was in really, really good condition, body-wise. Mechanically, it was seized. The car hadn't been running for maybe 15 or 20 years. And so yeah, we saved it, brought it home in the back of the load loader, and gave the car a light restoration at the time. I think only we did some light welding. It needed a wing on the passenger side, on the left-hand side for our overseas viewers. And ideally, just got a paint job and some new wood. The wood was completely rotten, but I said all the mechanicals was completely seized, so I bought another Mini. Now, at the time, we were able to buy Minis at £200-300 running,
Sheesh.
with a current MOT certificate on it. That's a roadworthiness certificate. It even had some. I think the one I bought even had 11 months road tax still on it. So this was a running and driving daily car. I think it had 25 or 26,000 miles on it.
All right. And this is, where it really starts getting difficult. All right. I had no idea how many clips I would pick for this. I think we just settled for 10. Nice round number there. And it's where it gets difficult because so many of these stories were great. So many of these episodes were great. All of them were. Every single episode I finished, I look at Sean, I'm like, dang, that was so cool.
It is crazy, isn't it?
The
At the end of
person
every
was really cool. It was super interesting. Whatever it was, right?
That's it. It's so, like you said, it's so difficult to sort of decide which moments were the greatest, or not the greatest, but enjoyable for everyone. And all of you guys who have been on the podcast have been absolutely fantastic, and we can't thank you all enough for the support and everything that you've done for the podcast. So
and one of the biggest things for me too, and Sean, I know you've told me this off air, is it's kind of like we meet these people now. They're like friends. They're lifelong. I've never met Sean in real life. No, that's weird, right?
It's crazy. Yet we're here every weekend recording with each other, or we're messaging during the week. It's mad.
Talk all day, all the time. And this,
but it's not. Sorry,
what?
Mike. It's not even like it's just a social media friend. It is genuine friendship through social media for everyone that we've met, and it's fantastic. I mean, I've still got people like Craft Van messaging me every now and then, or Ian. So many people. It's so nice to sort of see it and actually talk to genuine people.
Yep. No, and that's what I was going to say about this one, is because it's not only about minis. I've talked to a lot of people outside of it, just about random stuff, and it's this one was one of the first stories that was like super deep to me, and it was very heartfelt, and we could have gone much longer, and maybe we'll have them on again, because Marco and Felipe Correra, episode 7, titled Little Devil. It was such an interesting episode. They inherited their late brother's Mini from the island of Madeira. Is that how you say it?
I'm sure it was. Yeah, it was a while since I last.
Madeira, I think Madeira, I think it's pronounced. Again, sorry guys, American over. I think it's pronounced Madeira. But their brother was a well-known mechanic, like kind of racer around there, and they the story behind it. I don't even want to try to mimic it, because the story behind it was so good. And they've taken this Mini, and Marco, I think, is kind of leading the way with Filippo's help, but they are obsessed with getting this car back to its former glory, this race glory. and they're collecting new old stock parts, like the best of the best. And it got a little emotional at times, and this is where it kind of got real for me. I'm like, man, like some of these episodes,
Yeah,
I asked for the story behind the Mini, and I'm getting it. And
that's it.
it was
Sometimes it's so hard to hold the tears back.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. And I think this episode kind of kicked that off for me. And like I said, Marco, we talk often, and check out this clip from episode 7, Little Devil.
The story goes that he eventually got or stopped racing Mike, and that's when my brother got the Cooper S. Is in 1981. I have the story, and I asked Stefan as to how he acquired the vehicle. So Stefan was living in this manor house, and he was going to get married, and he promised his bride that he was going to stop racing. So the Cooper S, gets parked, and there's wind in the island of the Cooper S being for sale. And apparently my brother shows up in 1981 on his driveway in his yellow Spitfire with widened wheels and a few other tweaks. And Stefan hears this car, in the driveway. So he comes to the terrace and looks down and says, there's my friend Elidio Correa over there next to his Spitfire. And I asked him to come up for a drink. He says, no. I'm not going to go out for a drink. He says, I hear that you're selling the Cooper S. Is that true? He goes,
I'm
yes.
here for more important business.
Exactly. So he says, I hear that you're selling the Cooper S. Is that true? And he goes, yes, it's true. He says, well, you got to sell it to me. I'm ready to buy it. So Stefan goes downstairs and he says, what's the price? And Stefan says to him, well, the price is 90,000 skrudus, which was the currency back then. It was a significant amount of money, by the way. And so my brother looks at him and says, he comes close to him. This is the spirit of my brother. Says, like, as if somebody was listening to their conversation, says, hey, I'm ready to buy it. He reaches out to his pocket and there's an envelope with the money. And he gives it over to Stefan, and Stefan is taken back a little bit, like, wait. And he goes, I'll have that drink now. So.
All right. The next one's super cool. Next one, this is when I started this, I was like, how big can I go? Like, who's the biggest person I can get to be on the podcast? And I reached out to I constantly reaching out. Me and Sean are constantly reaching out to people, and as I said before, I wanted some racing and stuff like that, and I was like, you know what? Who would be a fantastic guest is Don Racine, who is an amazing living legend for racing here in the United States. And as you might hear in the podcast, if you listen to the episode, he's raced all around the world with his minis, but he is the owner of Mini Mania here. So very grateful for Don to come on the show pretty early on and share his story. Super cool. And I don't remember who started this. It must have been Cole on episode 3 with the cool backdrop with the minis in the background. But Don kind of set the bar here with this one because he had race minis in the background, which was super cool. But just an all around great dude. He's done so much for the mini community in general. He's got a parts company. He does racing. And it was just a great episode to hear some of these old racing stories. So check out this clip from episode 8, Racing with Don Racine.
Well, I don't want to be discouraging, but you got to remember that racing is an excuse to spend money. So, it's very difficult to do it on a shoestring. But in the same breath, if you compare preparing a Mini to race versus almost any other car except maybe a Formula V, they're a very rational way to do it. You gotta. I always tell everybody, concentrate on the safety things and the reliability things and learn how to drive first and then worry about making it go fast. You can spend $40,000 on a motor if you want to. But if you don't know how to drive it, it won't make any damn bit of difference. Setting up the suspension and even a rational way, a very conservative way, and most of the vintage groups require a relatively conservative suspension. You can't go radical with coilovers and all that kind of stuff. So, and the Mini doesn't have a lot of options for suspension. You're gonna, for the most part, you're gonna run the rubber cones. You can do camber, caster, toe, and that's a critical part of it. But whether or not you have the understanding of exactly how that's set up or not isn't critical to get out there and run. The longer you're out there, the faster you want to go, and therefore you will require some sophistication and understanding how to set up the car. But you put a roll bar in it. The transponders are not cheap these days to put a transponder in it, which is how they keep track of your lap times. But really not that terribly expensive to get out there and at least try it.
Sweet. So, I said we liked racing.
We love racing.
We liked racing. And I'm skipping a lot of good episodes here. A lot of good episodes, and I'll kind of do some callbacks to them because one of the episodes I'm skipping, or two really, is Mike Guido from Mini Sport USA. One of my favorite episodes. I love Mike. He's such a great guy, and he, man, single-handedly has probably sold me more parts for my car and helped me so much getting my Mini up and running.
Still got that tab open, Mike.
It's a running tab with him. So I loved his solo episode, and then he had the idea of doing like another episode at Himley Hall with his friend over there, Mike Price, and that led to those two guys. They loved it. They had so much fun, and that led to them somehow hooking me up with this next episode, which when he messaged me, I was like, are you serious? Like, how is that possible? How'd you get that hookup? Episode 24 was Smokin' John Rhodes. If you guys don't know who this is, you guys have all seen this picture of his Smokin' John Rhodes going around the corner and his wheels are just lighting up and the smoke is billowing up behind his Mini.
Probably one of the coolest pictures of any Mini ever.
It's very, very, very iconic. Outside of Patty Hopkirk's Minis photos, this is one of the most iconic pictures that I think I've seen. It just makes its rounds. It's such a cool shot. And legendary Smokin' John Rhodes. And, I think he's 96 now. 90s. He's in his 90s. He's doing well.
He's doing bloody well.
But let's be real. Not everyone knows what a podcast is, and I didn't expect a 90-something-year-old to know what a podcast was. So this was such a cool episode because Mike helped out. Both Mikes helped out a lot. And, we prepped some questions ahead of time for him and his wife to kind of go over. And not because he didn't want to answer anything, but just to give him an idea of what to talk about. He did, he kind of thought maybe it was a formal interview, and I tried to, listen, anyone that comes on this episode, they're all somewhat nervous, and it's by the end of it, they're like, man, that was just like having a chat at a Cars and Coffee, right? That's what I want it to be.
Exactly.
I just want it to be
how it should be.
Exactly. It's no pressure. There's nothing. I can always edit it out in post, but so I gave him these questions ahead of time. And, the basic ones. How'd you get into minis? Tell us about this. How did you get this nickname? Those kind of things. And he basically had it all written out, exactly what he wanted to say. And I opened the show up and I maybe asked the initial question and he just went into it. It was an hour plus of Smokin' John Rhodes just telling stories. And
Yeah.
he kept saying, it was funny. He kept saying, and then you asked me such and such. And we were just laughing because I didn't ask the question. Like, everyone was like,
The thing is,
And-
I remember listening to this episode when I was actually driving to work. So I had an hour and it was about 45 minutes to an hour drive to get to site. And I remember I got to site and the episode was still going. And I was like, I need to get out of the van. I need to go to work. But I'm too involved and in depth in this conversation. Like, I just want to sit here and finish it and listen it. Oh, man.
Oh man, yeah. It was so funny. Great stories. I would love to have him on again.
Definitely.
But I don't know, if I think that was more his pace, just telling stories, and I'm sure he's got a ton more to tell. So maybe we'll try to get him on again. It was one of the best moments of the year. That's super cool. So check out this clip from episode 24, Smoking John Rhodes.
In the meantime, they'd repaired this Cooper, and I was testing it at Silverstone, and the works, Minis were there, resplendent in their dark green and white roofs. I had got to know the team manager very well, because having worked at Surbiton, building and repairing various cars for some people that I'd loaned from. And I said, could I have a go? Now, he would never let anyone near his cars. He said, okay. So I jumped in. Now, having raced so many single-seaters of different types, good and bad, I had the instinct of knowing exactly what a car would do. It was built into me. So taking this Mini, Works Mini, around for the first lap, I got to know it straight away. And I knew the brakes didn't brake. Not as I would like. So what I did, and I'm going to read this because it all happens in a split second, but I'd go flat out past the normal braking point, flick steering into the corner, lifting the throttle, the car would oversteer, starting to spin, slowing the car, full throttle, pulling the car round the corner in a drift, surrounded by lots of tyre smoke. So this is why John Cooper called me Smoking Rhodes. And that's
Wow.
how I was immediately invited to join for the next year. And the only reason I could drive it like that is because of a limited slip in the front axle. Now, if you have a limited slip in the axle of a rear-wheel drive car, you can steer the car purely and simply by spinning the rear wheels. This is why drifting in your country and our country has become so popular. You just,
Right.
as long as you have the power, as long as you can spin the wheels, you can do whatever you like by steering the car with back wheels. And that was what I was doing with the Mini.
All right. This next one is my wife's favorite episode. I threw it on here, and for good reason too. We obviously, I think the automotive industry is very heavily male dominated, and I think some of the coolest minis out there are female driven. And this next one, episode 28, was our first female on the show. It was Julie with her company, actually, that I have tons of stuff. Maybe not tons, but I have a good amount of stuff from her. Crafty Van. She makes some super cool stuff. I have patches. I have patches on my little garage jumpsuit. I have stickers. I have, she has pins and so much stuff. But this was just, she's such a great person. We talked about all all things mini. She has a cool mini like work van, that hand painted crafty van. She takes it to her shows and sells stuff out of it. Such an awesome episode. But she also has a mini tattoo, and her Instagram is girl, or I don't remember exactly what it is, girl with the mini tattoo. And I thought that was so awesome. Awesome title episode. Great person. Again, we talk often on Instagram.
Yeah,
So
if anyone does get the chance to ever talk to her, she is absolutely lovely. She is such a down to earth person, and she's always got time to have a good chinwag with anyone.
Yeah. I also want to shout this out. She was pretty affected by the flooding that happened not too long ago. And they're kind of going through some stuff with that. So go check out Crafty Van and maybe help support. I know that she was trying to sort through that and maybe put some more stuff online to help. They're moving and having to fix a bunch of stuff. So go out, help out a good family. It is mini. She has a ton of mini related stuff, so it's not just donating to donate. It's you can get some cool shit too. So check out this episode from episode 28, or excuse me, clip from episode 28, the girl with the mini tattoo.
I think I've always had a thing for sort of unusual vehicles. When I was little, my parents were into motorbikes, and I was actually named after my dad's favourite motorbike. So my middle name is Motor Guzzi, or Motor Guzzi, as you probably meant to pronounce it. So yeah, it's kind of destined to be a bit weird and wonderful.
That's really cool.
And then I spent a lot of my childhood travelling around with my dad in his Toyota Hilux, going to sort of truck festivals and shows and things, with sort of all the monster trucks, because it was heavily done up, like jacked up with big wheels on and stuff. And then when it kind of came time for me to look at getting my own car and learning to drive, I always wanted a mini. It was either a mini or it was a monster truck or something ridiculous and big or something tiny. So practicality wise, it was going to be a mini. And yeah, and then I sort of trawled websites trying to find my mini. Ended up finding one on eBay. And then it all just kind of tumbled from there. I ended up meeting friends through my mini, joining clubs, going on some of the best adventures in my life. And yeah, I just became a bit obsessed with it. It was just a really bad addiction, to the point where I got a tattoo, I don't know if you can see it very well, of a mini.
All right. We're jumping a few. Again, man, I'm like, I have my notes here, but I'm scrolling by and I'm like, dang, that was a good episode. Dang, that was a good episode.
There's going to be so many upset people, isn't there?
So hard to pick. It's so hard to pick.
It really is.
Because, right now we're 24 minutes in, and, while you guys are listening to the full episode, but we're recording this and I'm, clipping in and editing in the clips, obviously, editing magic. And so just 24 minutes of us just talking about the episodes, not even the clips yet. We can't talk about them all, but
we'd love to, though. We'd love to be able to talk about it.
Genuinely, Sean, I have not had one episode where I got off and I was like, man, that was boring. Not one. Seriously, they've all been cool.
Everyone has been absolutely fantastic. Even before I was, alongside yourself, even listening to it on the work van was just, I felt like I was there with you all having that conversation as well.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I have people ask me often, like, have you ever had like a shitty guest or one that you didn't like or whatever? I was like, no, honestly, I have not yet, which is surprising because, there's some crazies out in the world, but that's testament to how great our community is with minis and how genuinely passionate these people are about classic minis and the mini life. So I thank you guys for that. So episode 33, very interesting one. I had trouble what I wanted to name it because it was such an interesting one. I named it what Jamie, who was on, the car's registration is JEU 311. So this is a side note. I feel like in the UK, you guys, like the registration never changed. It just follows the car because I feel like
Yeah,
it can
unless you get a personalized plate, but yeah.
It can like easily change here. So I always find that interesting. So a lot of these episodes, I did name it whatever the reg was because I think that's cool. I don't know, that's cool to me. But
It is
I
cool.
know that he that actually might be his Instagram name. To be honest with you, I forget. Sorry, Jamie. But such an awesome, heartwarming. I'm leaving it in. We're doing it live, man. Heartwarming story. You know, Jamie and it was a family mini, and he found it and basically kept it secret and restored it, like to freaking like better than off the showroom floor. And he had such a cool story. He had these pictures from like when his family had it back in whatever it was, the 60s, and they were like putting it on a plane to go vacation, I think in like France or something like that. And it was just such a cool story, and how um he did this, kept it secret, and then he had some reveal videos and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed this one. So check out this clip from episode 33, JEU 311.
Right, okay, so where to start? So it's an early Mark 1. It was made, registered in February 1960, and it sold to somebody in Brecconshire, which is on the Welsh borders for those that don't know. So they had it for 5 years, and then it was actually my grandfather that bought it. It's a Morris Mini Minor, just an 850, whole 38 horsepower or whatever it might be. And yeah, my granddad bought it, and at the time he actually taught my grandmother how to drive. She ferried my dad and my two aunts all over the county, to wherever they wanted to go after school and things like that. And I've got some really cool photos like my dad stood by it in his full uniform. And yeah, they ran it until so yeah, that was 1965. They actually that summer, straight after buying it, flew it over to France and drove it to Italy and back as their summer holiday for a couple of weeks. And I've got photos of that, and that's really cool. And I've actually had a bit of help track those photos. And then around the early 70s, my granddad painted it in a two-tone, which is where you've seen some of the photos, because it used to be in a really lovely old English white. And then he kind of just kept welding it to keep it on the road. So when I actually got it, it was just full of weld patches all over. And around 1977, it just got so rusty that he didn't know what to do, and he pushed it into a shed. He didn't want to get rid of it. And it sat there until around 96, and my dad tried to rescue it. At the time, he couldn't buy the early body panels. He was really struggling for the money, and he gave it away in around 2000 to a local guy who said he wanted to restore it. And the deal was, he said, if you ever restore it, I want the option to buy it back. And he never did. And anyway, so flash forward now, 20 years from there. And my dad hasn't shut up about his car. He went to every car show and kept saying, "Oh, I wonder what he's done. I bet that guy sold it, la la la." And I thought, fine, let's see if we can find it again. And I tracked down the bloke had actually moved to New Zealand and given it to his son. And I tracked him down and sort of sent a message. And about 8 months passed, nothing. And then I just got a message out of the blue on Facebook, just saying, "Hey, what do you think about buying this? It's not a job for the faint-hearted, but I'm getting married, I need some cash, doing up a house, come and have a look." And it was one of those things where you just go. And we were in the middle of COVID at the time, sort of towards the end of the first sort of COVID lockdowns. Then I just drove, saw it. I had no plan of how to get it away from there or anything. I was like, I've got to do this. So yeah, I bought it, and then the nightmare began.
All right. This next one again, man, I'm just scrolling past all these amazing ones. We got AJP Mini. We have Mr. 20 Max. Dude, the guy in Sri Lanka.
Oh, mate, yeah. Fantastic.
That's incredible. Umesh in Sri Lanka. Like, come on. That's a big moment. I'll just, as a side one, that's a big Sri Lanka? I talked about the first one we went to, Ireland, and now we freaking did a podcast in Sri Lanka.
It's like halfway around the world for us, It's
Amazing.
crazy.
Amazing. We had Grainy Day, Amanda
Grainy
on there.
Day was a great episode. I learned so much about photography on that one.
Such a great one. She's still crushing it, and she inspired me to get my film camera. So I've been shooting some film here. So
it's giving me the itch.
I keep looking. Man. It's a lot of fun. It's not instant gratification, and you take the time. Every shot that I'm setting up, it's like, is this right? Adjusting the foot.
But that's part of the fun. It's
part of the fun. I love it. I love photography in general, setting up the shot, the composition, and getting it right or getting it wrong. But with film, it's like it's the process, and it's super fun. So
that's it.
Shout out to those guys. But the next one, you can't pass up this year and not mention episode 37 special announcement.
That was a special announcement.
Because without episode 27, BMC Outlaw, episode 37 would have never happened, and we would not be here today with Scrapyard Sean.
That's it. It's crazy, isn't it?
Amazing to think about. And this is what we kind of were talking about before. We've become friends with these people, and Sean we just clicked. We're very similar. We had similar styles, and he's the UK twin of me, type of thing. We're similar ages. We have the same passions, and
that's it.
I'm very happy to have brought him on as a co-host. And he's helped in more ways than one, not even just being able to do the chin wag episodes when maybe we didn't have a guest or had to cancel or something like that. Helping with scheduling, helping with on air, just filling the banter between us. I thank you, Sean. It's been amazing. Again, it was a stepping stone for me, because it made like this. It was like a passion project for me, and now it turned it into something bigger. Now it's US, UK, and we're just growing out. And it's still a passion project. Don't get me wrong.
100%.
It's just something it's fun to share it with somebody.
That's it. And to be honest, I enjoyed doing this, not only just with yourself, Mike, but with all of you listeners, meeting you guys, even talking to people that we haven't even had on the podcast. It's so humbling, and I can't thank you enough for letting me come on here, join yourself, and keep up the passion and the thrill of enjoying minis with yourself and everyone else. And it means the world to me. So thank you very much.
Check out this clip from episode 37, special announcement. We are live with a very special episode. Maybe an extra episode. I don't know how we're going to do this, but very big announcement for Mini Life. I've been contemplating this since day one, but no one wanted to do it with me, so I went solo on my mission here of this podcast, and we are almost a year in, I think. And once upon a time, episode 27, I met my main man here, Scrapyard Sean.
How's it going, guys?
And, I think I decided to hire him. Now he is Scrapyard Sean, co-host of Mini Life. Everyone welcome. I think, let's give you this. Let's see if we can get some extras going for this special episode. Oh, that was loud. That was real loud. Did you hear that? You could hear that? That was amazing. What about we can go for a woo? So guys, the bane of my existence, the thing that was going to take down mini life is scheduling. And scheduling has been so difficult, and I knew it would be. It's just time zones and things like that. And I've pushed my way through, really trying to behind the scenes. I know a lot of you guys I've reached out to, and it's just difficult with all sorts of time zones kind of getting scheduled, and sometimes last minute cancellations, or just couldn't get anything. And I want to keep the podcast going. My goal is to do weekly. Maybe in the future we'll kind of back down from that and do every other week. We don't know. But now with Sean jumping aboard, I think we can keep that alive. And at least if there's a cancellation, we can jump on, do something like this, jibber jabber or wag some chins, I believe is the UK variation of that. So there might be some banter going on, and we both have projects going on. Sean was just at some vintage car racing this weekend, so things like that. So I want everyone to give a warm welcome to my main man, co-host of Mini Life 2023, Scrapyard Sean.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate it. It's good to see you again. And it's great to be talking to you all again. Thank you very much for letting me co-host alongside with you. Really appreciate it. Thanks, man.
All right, we're nearing the end here. Obviously, special announcement. I mentioned our Chinwag episodes, super fun. I promise I will finish my story from the Overcrest rally. I think we're on the last. I think we need 2 more to finish it, but between then, 2 more, I think.
Yeah, the amount of people that I've had messaging me going, "Hey, when are you guys actually going to finish that? Mike's adventure, because I'm frothing at the foam of the mouth, at the mouth here, just to hear how it ended." So
what happens?
You're gonna tune in next
still
week,
alive.
kids.
Yeah. Surprise! I'm still alive. Yeah, man. Look, we got V6 Mini in there, so there's a lot of cool episodes.
Yeah,
great episode too. So this next one was, kind of a similar story, that kind of heartwarming, tug on your heartstrings type of episode that I had no idea was going to happen. Right? That's what's one of the best parts about this, is that we are just looking for minis on social media or that we know of or whatever it is. Like, oh, cool. I would just love to hear your story behind it. Thinking, not thinking anything of it, right?
No,
like
we are so open-minded. It's unreal.
Yeah. And this one, Matt, episode 40, Matt from DER ABT Media. He's a great photographer.
Amazing photographer, an amazing guy as well.
Yeah, he makes some great stuff, some content on social media. And, he kind of maybe liked one of our things, and I was like, oh, shoot, you have Mini. That thing's sick. Like, he's like, yeah, a lot of people don't really know that's my Mini, and a lot of people don't really know, I build cars too. I'm not just a photographer. I was like, oh, sweet. Well, let's jump on and talk about it. And little did I know how cool this story was going to be. This guy, it's his father's Mini that his father basically was sick and was, his last wish was like, hey, Matt, I want you to have this Mini. And it was funny because he says something in the episode. He was like, when he was growing, his dad had this forever. It was his dad's pride and joy, right? His dad has had it forever, and Matt never wanted anything to do with it. Like, oh, please, Dad, don't drop me off at school and that, right? Like,
Matt was way too cool for it.
Yeah. And so he never, but his dad had it forever, and just kind of, every once in a while took it out. And when his dad was sick, he is like, Matt, I want you to take the Mini and I want you to kind of make it your own. And man, this car, it had like 12
9,000 12,000 miles original miles on it.
It had like 12.
Crazy.
Let me
low.
see if I have it in the notes. Oh man, hold on,
I gotta
clean. It was something stupid like 8,000 or 9,000. Let's see, episode 40. See, this is why you take notes, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't have it in my notes. So but honestly, sometimes that happens when I'm in. I usually take notes. I have and sometimes when the story is, no offense again to any of them, but sometimes when I'm just like, it just catches me off guard. I'm just like, what? I'm just like listening to but it had something stupid low. It was like 8, 9, 10, 11,000 miles, something stupid. And he was like, yes, Dad, I'll take this car. And he made it his own. And he was like, his dad said specifically, I don't want you to make it like I want you to make it. I want you to make it how you want to make it. And Matt has a very specific style. So I just thought that was a super cool moment. And it is one of those moments that kind of catch you off guard of when I started this podcast and wanting to hear the stories behind the minis. This is what I was talking about. There's always something, right? It's not just this pretty Instagram build. And a lot of people are like, oh, the guy just threw, some wheels and lowered it a bit, There's something to it. And this is one of those moments. And so I thought it was super cool. So check out this clip from episode 40, Carrying the Legacy Forward, with Matt from DER ABT Media.
So my dad bought this Mini that I've got now. He bought it in 1997. And he
Oh, wow.
him and my mum came into a little bit of money by default, through like relatives passing, etc. My dad always wanted one of three things if he ever came into any money. First was Mini. Second was like a narrow boat, so like
As
a
it should
long
be.
houseboat, as it should be. And then the third,
Yeah.
he also fancied like a BMW 5 Series, but he opted for this. Now in 1997, younger
Smart.
Matt was far too cool for one of these. So I remember he bought it. He turned up at home with it, and he was like, "Look what I bought." And I was like, "No, no, I'm not gonna. You are not taking me anywhere in that car. Like football, no. College, no. Just no." And that's kind of that was it. And he very rarely drove it. It was a homage to his youth. He had pre me and my sister being born, he'd had like a number of minis, and then obviously with having 2 kids, he had to sell up, and it broke his heart. And it's the one car he always wanted to go back to, never could, because there was always me and my sister around. So as soon as we were like of age and he got his life back, this was his dream. And he locked this away for years, and he only ever drove it like a Sunday afternoon a month. So much so that it's only just clocked 10,000 miles.
Whoa.
Oh.
That's
No way.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks really clean, and I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah, it's literally fully original. It's only just done 10,000 miles. I started looking. To be fair, there have been times when I forgot he got it. I completely forgot he had it. Because obviously life goes on. You move away, and you do your own thing, and then you come back, and occasionally you break out the Mini. I'll be like, so you still got that thing. I think around about 8 years ago, somebody offered him about £10,000 to import it to Japan, which is obviously big scene, right, in Japan. And he said no.
Huge mini scene in Japan.
Yeah. But he started getting sick probably about 2.5 years ago now. And he called me on the phone and said, "Matt, I want to ask you something." So I was like, "Okay, I don't know where this is going. And he said, so my Mini, he said, I want you to look after it for me. I want you to, I'm getting to the stage where I can't drive it. And I want you to look after it for me. It hadn't been fired up for properly for 2 years prior to that as well. That's how much he didn't drive it. So obviously with his health deteriorating, I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll do whatever you want me to do with it. So I popped back after work one night and thought, right, let's have a little look at it, see if I can get it fired up. Got it fired up, actually recorded TikTok of me doing that, of like literally getting the batteries sorted, getting it running, pulling it out, and I think it had like 8,100 miles on the clock. It's on the video on a TikTok channel, and it fired
Wow.
up well. It had a little bit of an auxiliary belt issue, a little bit of squeaking, which you can again hear in the video, but backed it out. It's like a time capsule, basically. And then my dad managed to walk out from the house, make it round to the backyard, and have a little sit in it. And if you notice at the end, he drives it into the garage, and that's the last time he ever drove it. So for the first year, it was a case of just looking after it, making sure it was serviced, MOT'd, giving it the odd clean. Actually, well, we'll get onto that story in a bit, but I actually stole it out of the garage to redo the paintwork, which he didn't know until his birthday when we revealed it, but we can talk about that in a bit. But
All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for our breakdown.
It's been a busy year.
Yeah, we've had obviously we had a lot of cool episodes on after that. We still have some coming out. I don't know what's going to make it before this episode, but you guys have already heard that, so who cares? But Sean, outside of the episodes, what are some other moments from mini life that you've enjoyed?
I think the biggest one for myself is, I mean, there's a lot to choose from. It's tough, but I think the biggest one for myself is the merch drop that we done earlier on this year. Mike gave me basically free reign, and it was a case of we weren't looking to design merchandise. It was just more of, hey Mike, this is what I've done. Hope you think it's cool. Do what you want with it, basically. And yeah, it blossomed into something that Mike and myself just didn't even think or comprehend could happen. A lot of you people were asking is that going to become a t-shirt? Is that going to become merchandise, or can we buy it? And Mike and I decided to pull the plug on it and turn it all into t-shirts, merchandise, hats, everything. And we cannot thank you so much, enough for this. It's blown us both away.
Yeah, it's turned, my idea of mini life and kind of just making it. Sean is like, we're not a brand, we're a podcast, but like it is like a brand though. It's like
it is becoming one.
It's not, it's not like the traditional brand. Like, oh, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know the technical definitions, but it's like it's what I wanted
with
it
a
to
community,
be.
Isn't it?
Exactly. It's not. I don't want it to be cookie cutter, and maybe it is. Maybe you guys think it is. I don't know, but it's building the community, because honestly, not the majority of my day, but I mean, it could be the majority of my day, is talking to you guys through the Instagram and stuff. It's really mind blowing, and to kind of backtrack about the merch. And one of the many reasons that I liked Sean is because he's very creative and he makes these cool adverts and these cool designs, and he has a background in like pinstriping and hand painting and stuff like that. And I love that style. And when he was like, hey Mike, like, can I draw some stuff for you? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like
that was so spot on as well.
well, it was more like, hey mate, can I do some proper adverts for
Worcestershire
you?
sauce, Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire sauce.
Hey mate, can I do some proper designing for you? Please, sir.
Can I have some more?
Please, sir, can I do some drawings?
Yeah,
So-
cheers, Mike. Thanks for that.
But I was like, yeah, of course, man, that's super cool. And he came back with our Worcestershire to Cali shirt, and I was like, man, that's so funny. And we weren't going to make it a shirt, but we posted the picture, and people were like, that needs to be a shirt.
Man, I lost count at how many messages I got that day when we released it on Instagram, and everyone was like, it needs to be a shirt. You got to do it as a shirt. Please say this is going to be a shirt. I was like, Mike, we've got to do something here because I am, completely, over my head with messages here.
Yeah, no, it's super cool. So we dove into that, and it's been fun. And I like that stuff. I love designing. I love creating. I'm a creative person. So I think maybe not that creative, but building out the website and kind of putting that all together, and the challenge of figuring it out for global, and figuring out the shipping and everything for worldwide, because majority of it was worldwide. It wasn't, or outside of. I'm speaking outside of the United States. Majority of it was outside of the United States. So
We
I
had some
thank you
teething
guys all
problems,
for
but
that.
you done bloody well, Mike. And yeah, as you said, thank you to everyone for that support as well.
Very cool. It's very cool. We have some cool stuff coming up too in the new year. So I guess in a couple weeks' time now, right? It's
Yeah, it's not long till we get to drop the news.
not long. A very exciting partnership, shall we say?
I think this is probably going to be the biggest, most monumental moment in the mini life history so far, as of date.
And you know what? That's why I wanted to, kind of touch on it, because this was a big moment for me and you. And I think, honestly, you kind of spearheaded this, and we made this happen. And it's going to be a cool thing, and it allows us to do what we want to do, man. It makes this podcast more of a community, I think. And that's what we love, and we've said it over and over and over, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we love doing this. It's super fun. I've had days where I've messaged, just shit days, to be honest with you. I've messaged Sean, like, I'm going to cancel this podcast, like, blah, blah, blah. And then I snap out of it and I say, you know what? No, we're going to do this live. We're doing it live.
We're pushing through, yeah.
And every time I sign on here and we record an episode, it makes me happier. It's fun. It's what I love. I love minis. I love cars, but I specifically love classic minis. I love doing this, and I love talking to you guys who also love it, and hearing all the stories. So I appreciate you guys all here. I wish why didn't we? Should have had champagne.
I know. I mean, I've had a beer throughout the entire time, so I'm going to celebrate with what's left of my beer here.
Well, cheer here. Let's get a clink of a cheers.
Yeah,
Like,
cheers,
boom.
guys. Thank you very
Cheers
much.
and here's to another year. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate, because this is I started this right before Christmas. I was like, what a rookie move, thinking like people are going to be listening over the holidays. But you guys actually did, which was fantastic. So Merry Christmas to those that celebrate it. Happy Hanukkah, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, happy holidays, happy New Year coming up. Amazing things in the new year, and I will catch you guys on the next one.
See you guys on the other side.